Hello, you're listening to the Armwood Opinion channel, and today we're talking about racism in the United States, especially in light of the events of the past week or two. The Trump administration, Donald Trump, has been attacking Mexicans and South Americans and people of African descent relentlessly throughout his presidency, and he has been defending white supremacists. There was a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, week before last, and the same day, another shooting in Dayton, Ohio, where the shooter in El Paso, Texas, I think it was 22 people that were murdered, said the exact words of Donald Trump and mentioned Donald Trump, but he said that his ideas on race he had before hearing Donald Trump. So clearly he saw an association. The Proud Boys marched yesterday in Portland, Oregon, a racist right-wing group, Nazi-oriented, and they said that they had won, even though they had small numbers, because Donald Trump had endorsed their position. This is what we're living through, and Americans, we have got to speak up. Americans, we have got to say this is unacceptable. Our leadership in this country is not speaking strongly enough about it. This week, President Trump told Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel not to accept two American congresswomen, a Palestinian and a woman born in Somalia and has been a citizen longer than Trump's wife. But she is from Somalia, from Africa. So in Trump's view, she doesn't belong here. He has told 4 congressmen of color to go back where they came from, even though 3 of the 4 were born in the United States. This is the type of thing that I heard growing up in New York City from white ethnics in New York City, where Trump comes from. So Trump's statements are very familiar to me. I'm younger than Trump by about 7 years, but I grew up with people like Trump who said things like Trump said, so I know them well. They're violent, they're bullies, they're stone cold racists. The New York Times is refusing to come out and call them racist, though most other national organizations are. I'm disgusted with the New York Times. I've been subscribing to them since my parents did when I was a child. I delivered the paper when I was 12 years old. So, I'm totally disgusted with their cowardice. But they represent the establishment. Understand, they represent money. Just like Nancy Pelosi, the head of the Democrats in the House, the majority leader. She represents big money. Trump has talked about how bad Baltimore in his mind is, and who would want to live there. It was nothing but rats in Baltimore. And, Pelosi's daddy was mayor of Baltimore, but she doesn't seem to really care. I mean, she won't even impeach him after promising to do so if the evidence showed it. The Mueller report documented 10 clear instances of obstruction of justice. That is a crime that you and I would go to jail for. We would go to jail in most places in the country for having an ounce of marijuana, a basically harmless drug. But Donald Trump can obstruct justice because he's a privileged white male. She's scared that a few House Democrats might be hurt by her decision, even though it is her constitutional responsibility. She has an obligation to the Constitution before she has an obligation to her political party, and she's not doing it. The base of her party, which is people of color, want Trump impeached by overwhelming numbers. People in the middle of the political spectrum who may occasionally vote Democrat are the people that she's focused on. The people who Biden attracts. They're trying to bring them back to the party, the old Reagan Democrats. And that was in the 1980s. These people aren't coming back. Obama got some of them, a few of them, didn't get a majority. He got some of them. But what's more important is turnout among the base. And the base is disgusted with Nancy Pelosi and disgusted with the Democratic Party's refusal to act. I talk to people. I don't want to say that because that's what Trump says. But a lot of people feel, what's the point? Because the Democratic Party is not doing anything. Now, people of color feel very strongly that we have to get rid of Trump by any means necessary. That it's, if we have to vote for Joe Biden, we will. We're not stupid. We know why Obama picked Biden. It wasn't because he was his favorite candidate. He wanted Tim Kaine. But he did it for political reasons because he wanted to get some working class whites. That's why he picked Joe Biden. Joe Biden's record in terms of race was not particularly good. In fact, it was bad. He's not the brightest guy in the world. That's why he's known as Mr. Gaff. You don't believe me? Google Biden and Gaff and see how many stories come up. Because he says dumb things. He constantly says dumb things. What did he say about Obama? Oh, he's a black person who speaks well and clean cut. This is because he grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then went to Delaware and Wilmington. And Wilmington in 2019 has been voted the worst city in America. Biden is clueless. He is clueless. He's not the brightest guy in the world. That's why he says so many dumb things. It's like Nancy Pelosi. She's wealthy. She's worth over $600,000. She can raise money because her family's friends, she and her friends, are wealthy people. She bragged about it at a meeting that was recorded, fortunately, among the caucus when she was being criticized for her hesitation to impeach Trump. And she bragged about the money because she cares about her donors more than she cares about the American people or her responsibility as the majority leader in the House. She needs to go. She's disgusting. She needs to go. We, the base of the Democratic Party, we people of color have got to start asserting ourselves. I know many of us are scared that Elizabeth Warren can't win. Many of us have deep concerns about Kamala Harris because of her record as Attorney General in California and her failure to deal with it, and then her horrible performance at the second debate. She handled Biden beautifully in the first debate, but then came to the second debate and wasn't prepared. It was horrible. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with her. She just didn't prepare. And so we have these concerns. Biden seems like a safe bet. I'm not so sure about that because I think Trump can play with Biden, and Biden is not quick on the uptake. He's not street smart. Trump is not bright, but he has that New York street smarts about him, so he can come back and he'll make jokes and he'll make fun. And Biden is not quick on his feet. Biden will come out and say something stupid, and he'll look kind of silly, and that can hurt him. That can hurt him. So again, if it's going to be Biden, we're going to support him. We have to come out in numbers because Trump must go. That's the message. Now we need to put tests to our congressperson. I've contacted mine. If you are not supporting impeachment, you need to be challenged. Plain and simple. We need to challenge you. We need to primary you. We need to scare the daylights out of these people and mean it because they are not doing their job. You can't have people who are cowering to Nancy Pelosi. She abandoned the DACA kids, as did Chuck Schumer. I call him Chuck Where's the Camera Schumer because all he cares about is the camera. They said they were shutting down the government, and then after 3 days, they backed down because they saw some polls showing disenchantment in middle America. We don't need leaders like that. We used to this. White folks that are not really in our corner, that all they want are our votes. And this is typical. This is typical of the white liberal. I used to like John Lindsay a lot because when I was young, I was a teenager, because he wasn't like that. In the Ocean Hill-Brownsville school dispute, he stood with us in a huge fight with Albert Shanker and the teachers union. That in 1969, that meant a lot to me because this was a white leader who was willing to take some punches and stand with black folks. And this was in New York City. I'll never forget that. But that's the standard. These Democrats, no. We need more of them. Bernie Sanders and his attack on both Trump and Netanyahu for refusing to let the two congressmen go to Israel showed courage and that kind of stance. This week, I've had lots of criticisms of Sanders, but he showed me what he was made of this week. And I deeply appreciate what Bernie did because he left himself open to attacks from other members of the Jewish community who were right wing. Now, let me make this clear. This is not about religion, because the most liberal people I've ever met are Jewish. Let's make this real clear. This is about right wing people. Even AIPAC came out in support of the Congresswoman Gumwing. This is about, in the United States, it's difficult to criticize Israel because there are people with lots of money who will come after you. Even though the Palestinians are suffering under a system as evil as apartheid in South Africa was. If you attack them, you're going to get a bounce back. So, yay, Bernie Sanders, for saying the right thing. I'm very proud of him for doing that. I really am proud. I'm not going to stay any longer because we've been on here a while and I can go on and talk for hours. Folks, write your congressmen, write your congresswomen, write your senators, tell them how you feel, and we have to prepare to fight starting today. Resistance is not futile. Hit the like button if you liked this video. Hit the dislike button twice if you didn't. Subscribe to the Onward Opinion channel if you want to hear more progressive content, more unfiltered content, because I'm old enough that I don't care what the establishment thinks. I'm going to call it as I see it. I'm tired of us kowtowing to these folks. I went to Covington, Georgia yesterday morning, early morning, to take some pictures. And I see a statue in the center of the town square, still there, celebrating Newton County Confederates. No, they're the losers since 1865. This is the flag for losers since 1865. And that's why I wore it today, because I was so annoyed that that statue is there. It should be knocked down.